My name's Summer Huntington, and I have a master's in kinesiology. Some of the work that I'm going to be showing you is myofascial work from Scott Sonnen's 60 flow, and just from the joint mobility in the years that I've spent training with him. His primary training system is Systema, if you want to look that up. And the workshop is focused on preventing injuries and identifying what's really common for an overuse injury in a poi athlete, specifically in the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders. So I brought these little props to kind of help describe what's happening in your shoulder when you swing a lot, which a lot of us are spending hours and hours swinging. So generally the athletes that I work with, they actually have the opposite problem. They are generally not mobile in their shoulders. And you guys, since your sport involves swinging a tethered rope around your head and around your body, it's completely opposite. So you guys are dealing with, instead of tight ligaments from lifting a lot of weights, you guys are dealing with more flexible or lengthened ligaments, hypermobile ligaments. So let's call this the ligament in the shoulder, and the ligament connects bone to bone. So my ligament, this is a normal person's length of the ligament, and this is a poi athlete's length of the ligament. And this is not, I didn't measure this. This is just to give you an idea about how, when you, your body will adapt to the forces that you place upon it. So if your force for hours, 2 to 3 to 5 hours a day, is going outward, so everything's getting stretched outward, and your ligaments have to adapt to that work that you're doing. So the main benefit, what I hope you take away from this workshop, or this mini segment here, is some ideas on how to kind of bring things back in to make them more stable. Because as a poi athlete, if you want to have longevity, you need flexibility, but you also need stability and strength to back up that flexibility. One demonstration that I could give you, if I have a really, this is my normal ligament and this is my long ligament, which ligament is going to be more likely to have a tear or a break if a large force is placed upon it, the long or the short? Probably the long. So yeah, I don't want to snap this poor little tree, but one thing that you can kind of remember is when you're swinging something, if you double the force, or sorry, if you double your speed, so say I go from swinging like this to like this really fast, I'm actually quadrupling the force placed on those ligaments. So if my ligaments are already at a disadvantage because they're long, and now I'm quadrupling the force placed upon those ligaments, it's going to put me at risk for either like micro tears in the ligaments or some sort of overuse injury. But the good news is that you can reverse that, or you can prevent that through some of the work that we're going to be doing today. And these, another little demo. I want to explain a little bit about how joint mobility works and how strengthening, combining the joint mobility with the strengthening exercises, how those might work. So when you hold a poi, so go like this, you're holding your poi for hours and hours a day. So I'm in flexion for hours and hours a day. Now, even though I might think that all my flexor muscles are here in my wrist because that's where I'm seeing the action being done, the flexors are actually in the elbow. So those of you guys that are having complaints of elbow issues, that might be stemming from not releasing the residual tension that's accumulated from holding a flexed fist, right? So I'm going to give you a chain of 4 events, and I don't expect you guys to remember all these terms, but there's a series or a chain of scientific mechanisms that happen when you hold on to residual tension. Particularly, we'll just use this action for that. So when I hold my poi for long periods of time, I might start to have residual tension, which means my muscle is so used to being in this position. Like if I contract a bicep, it shortens and gets hard. If I contract my wrist flexors are going to get hard. So I'm holding, it's like right in here, right around here. Now my body wants to create a shortcut to stay hard and stay contracted. So what it's going to do is it's going to become pre-tense. So when a muscle is pre-tense, because it hasn't released the residual tension, so example of releasing the residual tension would be doing something like this, which you can try right now. It's not going to hurt. It's actually really good. You could start just pawing. Yeah, look at that. So just pawing your wrist like this can help to release the residual tension that has accumulated from hours and hours of wrist flexion. So just like a cat would paw, you're just sort of like kneading the flexors. And if it's difficult for you to do that because you're not able to go as far as I am, then come up onto your knees and start pawing here. And I'll just keep chatting while we paw. Like a kitty. So see if you can turn your wrist all the way towards me. Yeah. So if I increase my angle back here, that's going to put me at a greater stretch. If I'm not so flexible, I'm going to be pawing here. You want to find a place where it feels like there's not a sharp shooting pain in the wrist. We'll just do this a little longer. So just imagine I'm trying to release the accumulated, what's the word? Tension, residual tension that has accumulated in my wrist from flexing. All right. So let's say I wasn't to do that and I just kept doing poi all the time and never did anything to counter my poi. What will happen is I'll start to get what's called myofascial density. So myofascia is something that kind of like it outlines all of the muscle in your entire body. Sort of like if you think of a tomato, like a tomato has a light skin around it. Your muscle has a light skin around it it's very pliable, it's very elastic, and it's got a lot of nutrients that's kind of supplying blood flow to all the muscles, and it's pretty much the key component of our movement. Like fascia just encases all of the muscles. But when you have myofascial density, so if this is my normal fascia, you could think of it as like a web, like a spider web. So it's a web of all these fibers that's laying over all of my muscle. And say I've got an area where I haven't released my residual tension from my wrist flexion, so now I'm starting to build up layers and layers of collagenous fibers over that area to maintain my action. My action is flexion. So my body has now said, okay, I don't want to do all the effort of holding a flexed wrist or a flexed whatever it is that you're holding. So it's going to develop a new strategy, which is to actually adapt to the forces placed upon it, which is like building up that myofascial density. And then the next stage, after you've got that myofascial density, what can happen is motor amnesia. So you're starting to not be able to fire the muscles that originally should be firing to hold it. And then the fourth stage is fear reactivity, which can result in an injury. So all the techniques that I give you today are going to be a combination of releasing the myofascial bag that's accumulated, the dense fascia, and also just mobilizing the area, and then lastly strengthening, and then we might even end with a little circled up partner massage, so we can kind of massage each other's shoulders and leave feeling really, really good and rejuvenated. And if you take anything from this workshop, just be mindful that everything that you do, it gets accumulated and stored in your body, and you have to find ways to release that to keep the body healthy and keep that longevity.